The night sky over Earth was calm, filled with stars. At the edge of the solar system, far beyond Pluto, a silent listening post floated in the dark. It was called Echo Station, a lonely human outpost with only a handful of people watching the endless void. Their job was simple: scan for signals. Most of the time, they heard nothing but the quiet hum of the universe. On that night, everything changed. The computers began to scream with alarms. A signal cut through the silence, raw and full of terror. It was not human. The voice that came through was broken, as if the speaker was fighting through pain. The words were clear, and every person in the station froze when they heard them. "Do not let them find humanity." The voice ended in a scream, followed by static. Then silence. The crew stared at one another, their blood running cold. No alien had ever spoken to humans directly like this. They had listened to strange noises, odd transmissions, coded bursts of light across the stars, but never a warning spoken in words that humans could understand. Captain Reeves of Echo Station reported it to Earth Command within seconds. His voice shook as he repeated the message. On Earth, leaders from every nation were called into an emergency meeting. Generals, scientists, and intelligence officers filled the underground chamber. The recording was played again. "Do not let them find humanity." The sound of fear in that alien voice chilled every person in the room. Questions burst out. Who sent this? What enemy were they talking about? How did they even know about humans? One scientist explained that the signal was ancient, at least thousands of years old, bouncing across space until it finally reached the solar system. That only made the mystery worse. If the warning was so old, then the enemy might already be near. While the council argued, something even stranger happened from across the stars. Dozens of other transmissions began to bleed into the listening networks. Different voices, different species, all carrying the same urgent message in their own languages. When translated, they all spoke nearly the same line: hide the humans. Protect Earth. Do not let the enemy know they exist. It was impossible to ignore now. The galaxy knew about Earth, and for some reason, the galaxy was afraid. In orbit, Earth's defense fleet prepared. Massive carriers, destroyers, and railgun platforms went on high alert. Soldiers trained in drop pods loaded their weapons. Yet nobody knew what enemy they were preparing to fight. The President of Earth addressed the United Nations. Her words were calm but filled with weight. Humanity has received a warning, not from one alien but from many. They fear what is coming, and they fear that Earth will be the center of it. We must prepare. We must survive. But inside the alien council chambers across the galaxy, fear spread faster than wildfire. Dozens of species gathered in a vast hall carved from black stone, lit by the glow of stars. They argued fiercely. Some shouted that humanity should be hidden, guarded at all costs. Others said that humanity must be erased before the enemy ever found them. The oldest of the aliens, a being with silver skin and eyes like mirrors, slammed its staff against the floor. Its voice carried across the hall. If the predators learn of humanity, the galaxy is finished. Humans must never be seen, but it was already too late. Humanity had been seen. The warning had been heard. Back on Earth, panic swept across the streets as rumors spread. Civilians looked at the sky with fear. Was an invasion coming? Were aliens about to wipe out humanity? The governments tried to calm the people, but the whispers could not be stopped. In the shadows of orbit, inside a cloaked vessel, an alien warship approached Earth. Unlike the predators, this ship came in silence, broadcasting no threats. It bore the markings of a race long thought extinct. Its hull was scarred, its crew desperate. When Earth's sensors finally detected it, alarms blared across every command station. Generals prepared for battle. Fighters scrambled. Warships locked weapons. Then the alien ship sent a final signal. We come not to fight. We come to beg for humanity's help. The message froze every leader on Earth. Soldiers who had prepared for war stood in silence. Civilians who feared destruction suddenly faced a different question. Why would aliens be afraid? What enemy could make the galaxy's oldest races tremble? The cloaked warship began to descend toward orbit. its engines barely holding together. On its bridge, alien officers spoke with urgency, their faces pale, their eyes wide with fear. They had crossed entire star systems to deliver one truth, and that truth was about to be revealed to Earth. As the alien vessel entered orbit, its hull opened, and a massive projection lit up the sky above Earth. It showed a fleet unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Vast, monstrous ships with jagged hulls, weapons glowing with unnatural energy. A predator fleet, already moving toward the solar system. The alien voice echoed once more, this time not as a warning, but as a plea. Humanity, you are the only ones they fear. The alien ship that entered Earth's orbit was not an enemy, but its arrival shook the planet. The massive projection it cast into the sky, showing the predator fleet advancing, spread fear across every city. Families stared upward, frozen in horror. Soldiers gripped their weapons tighter. Commanders whispered the same question: why would the galaxy fear humanity? Inside the cloaked vessel, the alien delegation asked for an audience with Earth's leaders. They were brought into a secure chamber beneath the United Nations headquarters. Armed guards surrounded them, and every weapon was ready to fire if the aliens made a sudden move. The alien leader stepped forward. Its body was tall and thin, covered in a strange silver armor that seemed grown rather than built. Its voice echoed through the chamber. "We are the Velari," it said. "We were once the guardians of the outer stars. We send this warning because the predators are awake again, and only humanity can face them." The chamber fell silent. Generals frowned. Politicians exchanged sharp looks. The president of Earth finally spoke. "Why us? Why would they fear humans, a species that only learned to cross the stars in the last century?" The Velari's mirrored eyes flickered. It lifted one clawed hand and pressed a device on its wrist. Suddenly, a vast hologram filled the room. It showed scenes of destruction on alien worlds. Planets burned, oceans boiled, and fleets of alien warships were torn apart by the predators. The predators were not like other species. Their ships were jagged and living, made of both metal and flesh. Their weapons unleashed energy that twisted matter itself. Entire cities were erased in seconds. The Velari's voice grew heavy as the images continued. They consumed us. They consumed everyone. And yet, in our records, there was one species they refused to engage. One species they never crushed. The humans leaned forward. "Tense, that species," the Velari finished, "was you." The chamber erupted in shouts. Impossible, lies, propaganda, but the aliens did not back down. Across the galaxy, in a council chamber larger than any city, the great alien civilizations gathered. The hall was carved from ancient black stone and floated in orbit around a dying star. Representatives of dozens of species filled the chamber, their forms ranging from crystalline beings that glowed with inner fire to towering insectoid warriors that clattered with anger. They all watched the holograms of Earth, and the debate raged. "Humans must be hidden," shouted one elder, its voice crackling like breaking glass. "If the predators discover them, we are doomed." Another slammed a metallic limb against the floor. "No, the predators must never be told of Earth. We erase the humans now, and the secret dies with them." Gasps filled the chamber. Some aliens recoiled at the thought of destroying an entire young species. Others nodded grimly, saying survival was all that mattered. At the center of the council, the High Arbiter, a colossal being of light, its form shifting like liquid fire, demanded silence. Its voice thundered across the chamber. "You all forget what the humans are. They are not prey. They are not protectors. They are the wild card. They do not fight with rules. They burn everything around them until only they remain. That is why the predators fear them." The words spread like fire through the chamber. Some shouted in agreement, others in fear. Back on Earth, the humans listening to the Velari struggled with disbelief. Soldiers clenched their fists. Generals exchanged worried glances. Was it true? Had the predators avoided Earth for thousands of years, watching from the shadows, waiting for the right moment? The Velari leader bowed its head. "You do not understand the weapon you carry. It is not your machines, not your fleets. It is your nature. You fight without limit. You never surrender. That is what they fear. That is why you must rise or we all fall. The President of Earth stood slowly. Her voice was calm but cold. If the galaxy expects us to bow, to hide, or to be erased, they will be disappointed. We will fight, but we will not fight for them. We will fight for Earth. The room shook with the sound of her final words, but even as Earth's leaders debated their next move, far away, the Predator fleet continued its march through the stars. One by one, colonies of other alien races fell silent. Their fleets were crushed, their worlds devoured. The Predators were not slowing. They were accelerating. In the Alien Council, fear turned into panic. The debate turned violent. Some demanded immediate strikes against humanity to prevent the Predators from noticing them. Others begged for humanity's protection, knowing their own fleets were too weak to survive. The High Arbiter raised its fiery form and silenced them all. Its words carried across the galaxy. We no longer have a choice. The Predators are moving toward Earth. Within 3 cycles, they will arrive. The humans will either rise as our salvation or burn as our last mistake. In the skies above Earth, as the Velari delegation finished their warning, alarms exploded across the defense network. Massive objects had entered the edge of the solar system. Radar showed shapes too large to be asteroids, too fast to be natural. The Predators had arrived. The warning came too late. At the edge of the solar system, space twisted like a wound. Shadows stretched across the void as enormous Predator warships appeared, sliding out of the darkness like monsters rising from an ocean trench. Their jagged hulls shimmered with unnatural light, weapons pulsing with energy that felt alive. On Earth, alarms screamed across every command post. Soldiers ran to their stations. Orbital platforms turned their guns toward the blackness of space. For centuries, humanity had prepared for the possibility of invasion. But no one had expected this. An armada larger than anything seen before, General Hayes, commander of Earth's orbital defense, stared at the tactical screens. His voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed the fear building inside. They are not here to threaten us. They are here to erase us. The first Predator ships advanced. Beams of crimson light cut through the void, slicing human satellites in half like paper. Entire communication networks went dark. In minutes, the enemy disabled half of Earth's eyes in space, but humanity did not stand idle. From the Pacific Ocean, the water boiled as hidden launch bays opened. Massive war machines rose from beneath the waves. Submerged carriers, armed with railguns and missile silos, each one disguised for decades under the ocean floor. From deserts and mountains, silos cracked open. Giant missiles lifted into the sky, engines blazing as they locked onto Predator ships. In orbit, the flagship ECS Valiant activated its stealth shielding and drifted into firing position. Behind it, destroyers and cruisers powered up rail cannons capable of punching holes through moons. The world finally saw the truth. Humanity had been preparing, not in secret from themselves, but in silence from the galaxy. Every hidden platform, every buried weapon was part of Earth's insurance. The first shots rang out. Missiles streaked into the void, colliding with Predator frigates. Explosions lit up the black sky, shattering pieces of alien hull. Railguns thundered, sending tungsten slugs at near-light speed into enemy shields. For a moment, humanity struck hard. Then the Predators answered. They released their monsters. Pods detached from Predator ships and screamed into Earth's atmosphere. When they hit the ground, they split open, releasing biomechanical beasts. Creatures built of steel and flesh, crawling on twisted limbs with glowing eyes and blades for arms. They swarmed across cities, tearing through defenses with terrifying speed. In New York, soldiers fired rockets into the creatures, but their bodies healed, even as bullets tore them apart. In Tokyo, streets burned as Predator war beasts crashed through skyscrapers. In Moscow, tanks rolled out to meet them, but even armored shells cracked under the monsters' claws. The Predators were not just attacking from space. They were tearing Earth apart from within. Inside the underground war chamber, Earth's leaders watched as the map of their world bled red. Panic spread, but the president's voice cut through the fear. Stand your ground. Humanity does not surrender. The soldiers of Earth fought with desperation. Drop pods fell from orbit, releasing squads of armored marines into burning cities. They carried heavy rifles, rail pistols, and plasma launchers stolen from old alien wrecks. They fought street by street, refusing to give ground. The alien delegation, the Velari, watched in stunned silence. One of their commanders whispered, "They fight as if the world itself is alive." No wonder the predators fear them. But the battle was far from won. High above Earth, the Predator fleet unleashed a weapon unlike anything humanity had seen. Beams of black energy spread across orbit, striking alien ships that had rushed to assist Earth. One by one, those vessels went silent, their power drained, their hulls collapsing into dust. The humans realized the truth. The Predators had brought a weapon that crippled every alien fleet, but it did not affect human ships. The enemy was targeting Earth for one reason alone. The war was not predators versus the galaxy. It was predators versus humanity. General Hayes clenched his fist. They came for us. Only us. The orbital fleet pushed harder. Human ships slammed into predator vessels at point-blank range, ramming them, detonating nuclear warheads in suicide runs. It was brutal, reckless, and effective. Alien allies stared in disbelief at tactics they would never dare attempt. Humanity was proving its reputation, but even with their ferocity, the numbers were against them. For every predator ship destroyed, 2 more emerged from the dark. The sky was filling with death. In the control chamber, alarms wailed louder than ever. The sensors detected something stirring deep under the ice of Antarctica. A vibration, a pulse, a power source older than any human weapon. The president turned sharply to her generals. "It is time. Wake it?" The generals hesitated. "Are you certain?" That weapon was never meant to be used. Her answer was steel. "We have no choice. If Earth falls, there is no tomorrow." The ground under Antarctica split apart. Icebergs shattered as a colossal shape rose from the depths. A warship unlike anything humanity had revealed before. Black metal, massive cannons, glowing engines the size of mountains. The Leviathan class. Dreadnought had awakened, and the galaxy would finally see the weapon humanity swore never to use. The world shook as the ice of Antarctica split apart. Sheets of frozen earth cracked like glass, and the ocean boiled as something immense rose from beneath. For centuries it had been buried, hidden away, a weapon humanity swore never to reveal. The Leviathan-class dreadnought emerged from the depths. It was not just a ship. It was a floating continent of black steel and glowing reactors, bristling with weapons that dwarfed anything humanity had ever placed in orbit. Entire cities could have fit inside its hangars. Its engines roared with the power of a star, lifting the behemoth into the sky. Soldiers on the battlefield stopped to watch as the impossible machine climbed through the atmosphere. Civilians in burning cities looked upward, their fear turning to awe. Even the predator war beasts paused for a heartbeat, as if sensing the monster that now rose to challenge their masters. In orbit, predator ships shifted formation, targeting the new arrival. Their jagged hulls pulsed with sickly red light, preparing to strike. On board the Leviathan, Captain Ilara Voss stood at the command bridge, surrounded by holographic screens. Her voice was cold and calm. "Power all systems. Bring the spinal cannon online. Let the predators see what humanity has been hiding." Engineers and officers worked furiously. The ship's core pulsed with energy as weapons hummed awake. Massive railgun turrets rotated into place. Missile silos opened like rows of steel teeth, and deep inside, a weapon of forbidden design charged with a blinding glow. The alien delegation aboard Earth's command center watched the Leviathan rise into orbit. The Velari leaders' mirrored eyes widened. They built a dreadnought, and they hid it from us all. Another alien whispered in horror, "This changes everything. No race has ever built something like that." The Leviathan cleared the atmosphere. Predator ships opened fire. Streams of red energy slashed across the void, striking the dreadnought's shields. Explosions rippled across its hull, but the Leviathan did not fall. Captain Voss gave the order, "Fire!" The spinal cannon unleashed its first shot. A beam of pure white energy cut through space, smashing into a Predator battleship. The ship didn't just explode. It was erased, ripped apart at the molecular level. Its fragments scattered like dust across the stars. The alien council chambers across the galaxy watched in disbelief as the footage spread. Species that once argued to hide or erase humanity now stared in silence. For the first time in their long history, they saw a Predator warship destroyed in a single strike. Humanity had shown its secret weapon. The Leviathan pressed forward. Railguns fired with thunderous force, tearing through Predator frigates. Swarms of missiles streaked through the void, overwhelming enemy shields. Smaller human warships formed up around the dreadnought, striking in brutal, coordinated attacks. For a moment, humanity held the upper hand, but the Predators were not so easily broken. Their ships shifted tactics, linking their hulls with glowing tendrils of energy. They moved as one, merging power, amplifying weapons, until their combined firepower could rival even the Leviathan. A Predator super beam struck the dreadnought. Shields flared, alarms screamed, and entire sections of armor melted away. The bridge shook violently, but Captain Voss held her ground. "They adapt," she said through clenched teeth. "Then so will we." She turned to her weapons chief. "Deploy the swarm drones." Dozens of launch bays opened across the Leviathan's hull. Clouds of black drones poured out, each armed with micro-missiles and plasma cutters. They darted like a storm of hornets, swarming Predator ships, tearing into their armor, cutting them apart piece by piece. Alien allies, still reeling from the sight, whispered in shock. The Veilari commander spoke what all of them feared. "This is why the Predators fear them. The humans do not fight with caution. They fight to destroy." On the ground, humanity's soldiers pushed back against the war beasts. With the dreadnought overhead, orbital strikes rained fire onto the creatures. Cities that had been lost were reclaimed in blood and fire. Humanity was fighting with a fury that stunned the galaxy, but victory was not yet theirs. From the edge of the solar system, new signatures appeared on the scanners. Bigger than before, more numerous, the Predator Armada was calling reinforcements. 10 times the number of ships humanity had already faced began to pour into the system. On the Leviathan's bridge, the crew fell silent as the tactical screen filled with red. Captain Voss's voice was low. "We have shown them our weapon. Now they bring their true strength." The stars themselves seemed to vanish as the Predator reinforcements arrived, blotting out the sky. Hundreds of massive ships glowing with red energy closed in. The Leviathan's sensors screamed warnings. The crew braced for impact. And in that silence before the storm, the Predators broadcast a single message across every channel in the solar system. "Humanity, you are the last hope of the galaxy, and we will break you." The sky above Earth turned crimson as the Predator reinforcements arrived. Hundreds of jagged warships poured into the solar system, their weapons glowing like the hearts of dying stars. They moved as a single swarm, a living tide of destruction. On board the Leviathan-class dreadnought, alarms screamed. Captain Ilara Voss stood firm at the bridge. Around her, officers worked frantically as the screens filled with red. "They are too many," whispered an ensign, his voice breaking. Voss's reply was ice. "Then we will kill more than they expect." The first wave struck. Predator beams lashed out, colliding with human destroyers. 2 ships were erased in bursts of fire, their wreckage raining across the void. But the Leviathan did not retreat. Its colossal railguns fired in thunderous rhythm, tearing Predator frigates apart. Missiles swarmed outward, detonating inside enemy formations. Then came the weapon that shook the galaxy. The Leviathan's spinal cannon lit up again. A beam of pure white fire speared through the enemy lines. Not 1, but 3 Predator battleships were obliterated in a single strike, their hulks collapsing into molten fragments. The shockwave rippled across space. Every alien council chamber across the stars erupted in chaos as the footage spread. Races that had once dismissed humanity now stared in silence. Some whispered prayers. Others whispered fears. The humans are not fighting to survive, one elder said. They are fighting to annihilate. Back in orbit, the human fleet pressed harder. Smaller cruisers performed reckless maneuvers, diving through predator formations, ramming ships, and detonating nuclear warheads at point-blank range. These suicide runs tore gaping holes in the predator swarms. No alien fleet would ever have dared such madness. Humanity embraced it. On the ground, soldiers fought a desperate war against the biomechanical monsters released into Earth's cities. Tanks rolled through flaming streets. Marines fired rail pistols and plasma rockets, and orbital support hammered the enemy from above. Slowly, block by block, the tide began to turn. The predators, for the first time in recorded history, faltered. Inside the Predator flagship, alien minds hissed in anger. Their ships adapted, shifting formations, merging power to counter the Leviathan. A colossal superbeam charged, targeting the human dreadnought. On the bridge of the Leviathan, officers shouted warnings. Brace for impact. The Predator beam struck. The dreadnought shuddered. Armor melted, entire decks were ripped away, and screams echoed through its corridors. But the Leviathan endured. Smoke filled the bridge, yet Captain Voss stood unbroken. Her voice was a growl. Return fire. Show them why they fear us. The Leviathan unleashed everything. Railguns thundered. Missiles blanketed the sky. Drones swarmed like angry insects, cutting into predator hulls. And then the spinal cannon roared once more, tearing another predator command ship apart. The alien council chambers trembled with disbelief. For the first time in thousands of years, predator ships were breaking. But the predators had one last weapon. From their largest warship, a dark pulse spread across space. Alien allies' vessels collapsed instantly, their power drained, their systems dead. Entire fleets of other species went silent, yet humanity's ships remained untouched. The galaxy now saw the truth. The predators were not at war with everyone. They were at war with humans alone. General Hayes, commanding from Earth, slammed his fist against the table. They fear us. That's why they came. Not to test the galaxy, to erase us. For a brief, terrifying moment, silence filled the battlefield. Predator ships began to pull back, reforming into new lines. Human ships held position, battered but still fighting. Then, against all expectation, the predators began to retreat. Their formations broke, their war beasts recalled, their ships vanishing back into the black. A cheer spread through the human fleet. Civilians watching from bunkers shouted with hope. Soldiers on the ground raised their weapons to the sky. Humanity had made the predators bleed. But Captain Voss did not celebrate. Her eyes remained fixed on the tactical screen, where faint red signals lingered at the edge of the system. They are not defeated, she said coldly. They are regrouping, and when they return, it will be worse. In the alien council chamber far across the galaxy, a shadowed figure stepped forward. It was one of their own, an elder of a powerful species. We cannot allow humans to rise, it said. They are as dangerous as the predators. If they survive this war, they will rule us all. And with those words, betrayal began to take shape. The galaxy had seen the impossible. Humanity had stood against the predators and forced them to retreat. Across the stars, alien worlds that had lived in terror for generations whispered the same words. The predators bled. The predators broke, but fear did not vanish. It shifted. In the vast alien council chamber, carved from black stone and lit by burning suns, the leaders of dozens of species gathered in emergency session. Holograms of Earth's battle filled the chamber, the Leviathan tearing apart predator warships, human cruisers ramming their enemies, soldiers on the ground burning through waves of monsters. The council did not cheer. They trembled. An insectoid overlord slammed its clawed fist against the table. Do you not see? The humans are not saviors. They are worse. They fight like predators themselves. If they survive, no one will be safe. A crystalline elder's voice cracked like shattering glass. They will turn their weapons on us once the predators fall. Humanity must be contained. Only the Velari delegation protested. Their silver-eyed leader rose and spoke. You all are blind. Without humans, the predators will consume us all. They are our only chance. The chamber descended into chaos. Voices roared, threats were shouted, alliances fractured. And in the shadows, a group of council members began to plan the unthinkable. They would betray humanity. Back on Earth, the people celebrated. Cities still burned, but for the first time, hope flickered in human hearts. Soldiers returned from the front, carrying stories of impossible victories. The Leviathan floated in orbit like a guardian, scarred but alive. In the command chambers, generals planned the next move. Captain Ilara Voss stood before the fleet commanders. Her voice was sharp and certain. The predators will return, and when they do, they will bring their full strength. We need every ship, every soldier, every weapon. Earth must be a fortress. Unknown to her, the betrayal was already in motion. At the far edge of the solar system, cloaked vessels slipped through the void. They were not predators. They were allies, or at least they had been. Their mission was silent, their weapons hidden. They were there to deliver Earth's location to the enemy. Inside one of those ships, an alien envoy whispered to its crew, "If we sacrifice the humans, the predators will spare us." It is the only way. The predators received the signal. Their fleet stirred in the darkness, preparing for a strike unlike any before. Meanwhile, humanity fought on shattered colonies beyond Earth. On Mars, predator war beasts ripped through domes, while human marines fought them with railguns and flamethrowers. On Europa, soldiers in heavy exosuits waded through frozen seas, battling monstrous hybrids that rose from beneath the ice. Humanity refused to give ground. The galaxy watched in awe and terror. Every human victory spread fear. Humanity was not fighting to survive. They were fighting to win. Then came the betrayal. Without warning, predator fleets bypassed Earth's defenses and struck deep into human territory. Colonies fell in silence, entire outposts erased before reinforcements could arrive. General Hayes slammed his fist on the war table as the red markers spread across the map. They should not have known those positions. Someone gave us up. Captain Voss's face hardened. The Council. They fear us as much as they fear the predators. The truth cut deep. The very allies who had begged for humanity's help were now feeding them to the enemy, but humanity did not break. In response, Earth unleashed a new weapon. Swarms of AI war drones lifted from hidden launch sites. Unlike human pilots, these machines felt no fear, no hesitation. They struck predator fleets with merciless precision, tearing them apart in numbers too great to count. The Velari leader, watching the battlefield, whispered, "Now the humans build armies that never sleep." The Council was right to fear them, yet they are also our only chance. Still, the losses mounted. Colonies burned, fleets crumbled, and billions of lives were at risk. Humanity faced not just the predators, but the betrayal of the very galaxy they had been asked to save. In the underground bunkers of Earth, civilians listened to broadcasts from soldiers at the front. One voice repeated again and again, steady and unbroken, "We will not bow. We will not yield. If the galaxy betrays us, then we will fight alone." In the council chamber, the betrayers celebrated in silence. They believed the predators would spare them for their treachery. But as their fleets withdrew from the front lines, a shadow fell across their homeworlds. Predator warships appeared in their skies, and the predators spoke only one sentence before fire consumed the betrayers' cities. "There is no peace with us. Only death." The galaxy burned. Betrayal had already been punished. The predators had turned on those who sold out humanity, wiping their cities from the stars. The lesson was clear. There could be no bargains, no truces, no survival except through total war. Across Earth's skies, giant war factories blazed with activity. Shipyards thundered, constructing new Leviathan-class dreadnoughts, carriers and cruisers. Armies drilled day and night. Orbital stations grew bristling cannons like hedgehogs of steel. Humanity was changing faster than the galaxy could believe, but the predators were also preparing. Their broken armada had returned to their dark forges, gathering monstrous ships and abominations that had never been unleashed before. They were adapting. They were learning. The war that was coming would decide everything. On the bridge of the Leviathan, Captain Ilara Voss studied the battlefield maps. Red swarms of predator fleets moved toward human colonies. Blue markers, the remnants of the human fleet, looked thin, scattered, almost fragile. "They are forcing us to split," said Admiral Wren. "They want us stretched so thin we snap." Voss's jaw tightened. "Then we must strike first. Hit them where they don't expect. Make them bleed before they think they are safe," General Hayes approved. Humanity would not fight a slow war of attrition. Humanity would take the war to the predator's heart. The decision was made. At dawn, Earth launched its deadliest counterattack in history. A fleet of dreadnoughts, carriers, and thousands of war drones surged into predator space. Their target was the cradle of behemoths, a massive shipyard world where predators bred their war beasts and constructed their largest ships. The battle began before humanity even reached orbit. Predator defenders hurled everything at them. Bioships that screamed like living storms, swarms of blade fighters, titanic cruisers that vomited fire. But humanity did not flinch. The Leviathan led the charge, railguns pounding, spinal cannon ripping apart enemy ships in blinding flashes. Carriers unleashed drone swarms, filling the skies with steel wings. Human marines in drop pods slammed onto the surface of the cradle itself, storming the shipyards in brutal close combat. The galaxy watched in horror and awe. Broadcasts of the battle spread through neutral worlds. Alien leaders whispered to one another, their fear growing. "Humans fight like they were born for this," one said. "They are not prey. They are predators now," answered another. And indeed, humanity fought as if the war was part of their nature. Soldiers stormed bunkers with grenades blazing. Pilots sacrificed their ships to ram enemy behemoths. Civilians across Earth volunteered in millions, building weapons, joining militias, refusing to stand aside. For the first time in recorded history, predator forces faltered on their own soil, but the predators had not revealed their final creation. From deep within the cradle, the ground split open. Rising from the abyss came a ship so vast it dwarfed even the Leviathan. It was not a vessel of steel. It was alive, a planet-sized war beast fused with metal and plasma. Its eyes burned like suns. Its roar shook the battlefield. "The Colossus," whispered a predator commander. The doom of all worlds. On board the Leviathan, silence gripped the crew as the monstrosity filled the screens. Captain Voss clenched her fists. "Target it," she ordered. The Leviathan fired its spinal cannon. The beam struck, but the Colossus barely staggered. Its hide glowed, then healed. As though it had swallowed the energy, it retaliated. A blast erupted from its core, vaporizing 3 human cruisers in an instant. Shockwaves hurled ships aside like toys. Admiral Wren shouted into comms. "All fleets, focus fire." Every human ship turned its weapons on the Colossus. Railguns, missiles, drones, lasers, all slammed into the beast. But the creature endured, roaring, its claws tearing apart carriers as if they were paper. On the ground, human marines looked up as shadows swallowed the battlefield. The Colossus blocked out the stars. General Hayes' voice carried across every channel. "This is the war we were born for. Stand and fight. Humanity does not bow." The galaxy trembled as the impossible battle raged. As the Leviathan struggled against the Colossus, a signal cut through the chaos. A voice from deep space, distorted but unmistakable, reached Captain Voss's ear. "We are not your enemies," it said. "We are older than the predators, and if you want to survive, you will need us." The crew froze. Another species had revealed itself, one that had remained hidden for eons. But were they saviors or something far worse? The Leviathan shuddered in the void. The Colossus roared across predator space, its living metal body devouring human fleets with each strike. Yet in the middle of the chaos, another voice had spoken. "We are not your enemies. We are older than the predators, and if you want to survive, you will need us." The bridge fell silent. Captain Ilara Voss stared at the comm screen, her jaw clenched. Admiral Wren leaned forward. "Who are you?" The answer was a whisper like thunder. "We are the architects, the ones who built the predators, and the ones who abandoned them when they turned wild." The revelation hit harder than any weapon. The predators were not the apex they had believed. They were creations, unleashed monsters that had slipped the leash of their makers. And now those makers had returned. But why? The architects explained nothing more. Only a set of coordinates flashed across the Leviathan systems, glowing like fire. Captain Voss made her choice. "Set course! If this is a trap, we spring it. If it's real, it's our only chance." The Leviathan, scarred and burning, pulled away from the Colossus. The fleet followed. Humanity's survival now depended on the secrets hidden at those coordinates. They arrived in a starless region of space, a void darker than night. There, drifting in silence, was something beyond comprehension, a structure the size of a moon. Half machine, half stone, glowing with ancient runes. It was a vault. Inside, humanity discovered the truth. The architects had once ruled the stars, seeding galaxies with life, creating servants to guard their domains. The predators had been designed as soldiers, but soldiers turned into conquerors. The architects fled, waiting for a race strong enough to fight their fallen creations. Now they believed humanity was that race. But there was a price. The vault held weapons never seen before, star crushers, reality-bending cannons, and gene forges that could alter soldiers into something more than human. Yet using them meant giving up what humanity was. General Hayes's voice trembled with fury. "They want us to become like the predators, to become monsters." Captain Voss looked at the galaxy map, filled with burning human colonies. "If we refuse, we die. If we accept, we win. But we may never be the same again." The council back in the galaxy raged. Some species screamed that the humans must not be allowed to wield such power. Others begged to stand with them. But the decision was not theirs. It belonged only to Earth, and Earth chose survival. The Leviathan returned to battle armed with architect weapons. Its spinal cannon no longer fired beams of energy, but tears in space itself, ripping through predator hulls like paper. Human soldiers now wore bioforged armor that fused with their bodies, turning them into unstoppable warriors. Swarms of AI drones linked to architect networks fought with machine precision, carving predator fleets into ruins. The galaxy watched in awe and terror as the impossible unfolded. The Colossus itself screamed in agony as the Leviathan drove a spear of dark matter into its core. The beast cracked, its body collapsing into fragments that lit the void like dying stars. Humanity had done it. The predators were broken. But victory came with silence. Across the human fleet, soldiers stared at themselves, at what they had become. Stronger, yes, but no longer entirely human. The architect technology had changed them. On the bridge of the Leviathan, Voss spoke softly. "We have survived, but we are not the same." General Hayes looked out over the stars. The galaxy wanted to fear us. Now they will have no choice. And in the alien council chamber, the surviving leaders bowed their heads. Some in surrender, some in dread, for they knew the deadliest secret of all. Humanity was no longer just a race. Humanity had become a force. Far away in the dark between galaxies, something stirred. The architects had not told the whole truth. The predators were only one of their creations, and others were waking.